So did you know that there were time capsules in both Disneyland and California Adventure? Let's find out what's inside. Hey you guys, and welcome back to That Disney Girl, and as you have just heard, today we're going to be talking about the time capsules over in California at Disneyland and California Adventures Park, as well as a time capsule that a lot of people don't talk about, and this is one that Walt Disney actually created and wrote to the people of the future. So today we're going to talk about all of that, try to guess what's inside of these time capsules, and see what that letter said and see if we have held true to what Walt thought that we were going to do. But the time capsule is something that's been talked about for so long. There have been so many theories and folktales talked about this capsule, and one of the main theories, I'm going to talk about it now. I will link the full theory down below if you want to check it out, but let's take a look at it. So this theory is going to travel across 2 states, and it's going to start off with a dancer who was working in entertainment over in Disneyland in 1955, and then he just loved the company so much, kept moving on up, eventually ended up working for a higher up position at Epcot over in their management section, and he was just walking along with his boss one day when he was telling his boss that it's a shame that they never actually did a time capsule in Disney, and that he had heard that they were starting to make one, but then they were just so busy with construction that it never ended up actually happening. And his boss quickly and urgently sort of dispelled these rumors. He told him, like, no way, there was no way that this time capsule was ever going to be a thing. You're totally mistaken. So then one day, the lead of our story is returning right back on over to Disneyland, and he's walking through the parks, and then he noticed that there's something on the floor that's kind of moving. So he brings his friend along to check out this like weird spot on the floor over in Disneyland, and they look and they realize that they could lift it up, like it's kind of like a secret passageway. And when they open it, they notice that there is a literal skeleton inside, which is super freaky, right? Like, who knew this was gonna become a horror story? But it's not actually anything that's scary. Inside is actually a fake skeleton from Pirates of the Caribbean. Almost like a little bit of a joke that maybe some of the cast members pulled while they were putting together all of Disneyland, or just kind of like digging this hole there. I'm not 100% sure. But what our friend did was pull that skeleton right on up, for some reason put him in a cast member costume, and stick him right back down the hole. And I mean, this is a really weird theory, but I think it does prove something. It proves this idea and notion that people really wanted a time capsule for Disney for all of its guests and fans to see down the line. And also, this idea of the skeleton is one that we're not going to let go of just yet. But let's continue looking at this time capsule or time castle over in Disneyland. Okay, so you would think that something as successful and monumentous and just amazing as Disney would have had time capsules going from the moment it started, but it actually took Disneyland 40 years to create its first time capsule, and they actually call it a time castle because the capsule was shaped like a mini version of their castle. So on the 40th anniversary of Disneyland, Disney decided that it was time to create a time capsule of everything that represents Disney at that day in time in its 40 years of existing. And if you want to find it, all you have to do is go right down Main Street, right before the castle in the center court. Over there's going to be a plaque on the ground that reads this: "A time castle containing Disneyland memories, messages, and milestones lies beneath this spot. The Disneyland Time Castle is dedicated to the children of the 21st century, who may unlock its contents on the 80th anniversary of Disneyland, July 17th, 2035. And I mean, I don't even think this was a goal, but definitely a great way to make the 80th anniversary of Disney a must-visit on anybody's bucket list vacation of Disney World. I mean, who wouldn't want to be there on the first unveiling of the Disney time capsule? Like, literally nobody. So on the 40th anniversary, one of the most popular attractions over in Disneyland was created, and this was going to be the Indiana Jones ride, and because of that, inside of that time capsule is going to be an Indiana Jones decoder card. I'm really curious to see if this decoder card kind of has like a hidden message that we can decode once it's open from the people back in 1995. That would be super cool, but let's move on. So that's something that's going to be in there. There's going to be newspapers in there. There's going to be lots of photos in there. On the 40th anniversary, when they did this whole event about burying the time castle, there were 3 pieces of artwork that were given to that time capsule, and these are what they were. So there was going to be a sketch of Mulan, there was going to be concept artwork of Pocahontas, and number 3, it was going to be a photo of cast members traveling down Main Street, I believe in one of the Main Street vehicles. And so we know that there's going to be this decoder card in there, and that decoder card is going to represent a ride, and that ride is going to be very relevant to its 40th year. And when there was this like commercial that Disney put out about the 40th anniversary, it kind of went through the decades and said what was relevant in each decade really quickly, but I just thought that maybe we were going to have something from each of these rides that it listed. So let's take a look at what those were and see if maybe these predictions come true down the line. So in its first 10 years from 0 to 10, the most relevant thing were the teacups. This is something that originated in Disneyland. It's something that was there when the park opened, and it's just definitely a super big classic. So of course you got to get something that was an OG original. And then the next 10 years was considered wild. So we were going to get Pirates of the Caribbean, we are going to get the Matterhorn, and we're going to get the Jungle Cruise. So maybe we're going to find little bits of each of these rides inside this time capsule. If you have any idea of what from these attractions might go in that time capsule, let me know down below. But if we take a look back to our little theory about that skeleton from Pirates of the Caribbean being underneath, I think it would be really funny if we open it up one day and we get a little bone from the attraction inside of that time capsule. If we do, you heard it here first. The 20th year was for Big Thunder Mountain, the Main Street Electrical Parade. I totally want to see something from that parade inside of that time capsule. I think that it is so relevant, especially to Disneyland as a whole. I mean, even a light bulb would be pretty cool. The 30th anniversary seemed to be unbelievable with Splash Mountain, so I don't know what from Splash Mountain could be in there. Maybe just like a little stuffy of Brer Rabbit, maybe part of an animatronic from the ride. Who knows? And then 40th, like we've already covered, is going to be the Indiana Jones attraction, and we got that decoder card in there. So these are just major attractions that were staple in Disney on each of its years, major attractions that helped the park and the company become more successful and made guests come back over time because they experienced things that they've never experienced before in any other theme parks. There were also limited trading cards for Disneyland that were released for one day on its 40th anniversary. So I will be very excited to see what those trading cards look like and just to see how good they've shaped up over the past 40 years once it's opened. Okay, so that is Disneyland's time capsule, but California Adventure also has a time capsule, and this one came in the 2000s once California Adventure was going through its major refurbishment, the refurbishment that basically picked that park up from 0 to hero and made it a must-do park once you're over in California. So it was buried on June 15th, 2012, and it's going to re-emerge on June 15th, 2037, so we're going to have to wait less time to see this one from its original burial date. It's only going to be 25 years until we get to open up this time capsule. And this one was going to contain things that were going to be heavily selected by cast members. So inside, you're going to get park maps, you're going to get different cast member key cards in there, you're going to get name tags. And I mean, in both time capsules, we're going to get to see tickets and see how cheap prices were a long time ago and how much they've hiked up until now. So that will be a shocking reality, but it will still be very fun to see. And inside of this time capsule, you are literally going to get a piece of the earth from Disney. There is going to be a piece of asphalt from the Timon and Pumbaa parking lot that is now Cars Land, so it's demolished and it's gone, but not fully because it lives on within the time capsule underneath California Adventure. So those are the two time capsules that are over in California, but the thing is that time capsules aren't as new to the Walt Disney World's company as you may think it is, because in 1956, Walt Disney was asked to write a letter to the people of 2006 on what he thought that the arts and entertainment were going to look like at that day and age. And so I'm not going to read the whole letter in it. We're going to talk about a few key components, but I will link something down below that will get you to that full letter. So right away, Walt went off the bat and said it was going to be very difficult for him to predict something in the future, considering that technology was going to be so ever-changing, and he had no idea how this was going to affect the arts and entertainment. I mean, in regards to predicting, he said you would need to either be Einstein or an atomic wizard to figure that out. But one thing that he did say was that we were always going to have a need for it. He thought that there was going going to never be a kind of world that existed, that we weren't going to have the need for arts and entertainment because it was people's form of play. And this is because the human race has proved over and over throughout history that we need a form of escape and a form of fun. And in one of the episodes of the Imagineering documentary, they talk about why Disney is so successful and why people keep going back. And the way that they explain this is that Disney is like this perfect reality, and we go because we can escape any of the troubles that we feel in our reality, and we can move on to this perfect one and just feel so happy and excited, and we can forget what it's like to feel all of that stress and kind of just let go and have fun and just remember what it's like to be a kid again. And that's literally what Walt predicted, and it must have come true because all of these years later, Disney is even more successful than ever. But in the end, it seemed like Walt wanted something that was even bigger than the fun of an amusement park. He wanted something that was big enough for all of mankind to experience, and he wanted the world to kind of have a familial bond. He wanted everyone to basically just love each other and to try to create this perfect reality inside of our own reality and to see all of the good in everybody. And right before the very end, he even hopes that we as a human race would abolish the notion of war. So that's just kind of the reality and the way that Walt wanted to look at life. He didn't want fighting to happen. He just wanted everyone to kind of just have a good time. And you could feel that every time you're in the Disney parks. And I love that you can feel that because that's the feeling that Walt wanted. And to have that so many years later just means that he definitely created something that was going to transcend space and time. He created a feeling, not just a place. Okay, so that's what I know about the Disney time capsules. There's not too much information out on these things, and I think there is a clear reason why. That is because it's supposed to be a surprise, and I am sure that when we hit that 80th anniversary over in Disneyland and in 2037 over in California Adventure, when both of those time castles and time capsules come on out, it is going to be so exciting to see all of these things that were put in it. It's definitely a vacation that you need to pencil in your schedule now, so plan to be there for those monumentous moments. But if you have learned something or if you liked this video, you need to make sure that you give it a nice big thumbs up if you know more about the Disney time capsules, if you have any idea of what might be inside of those time capsules aside from what we've spoken about, or something maybe that's really specific, comment them down below. Literally everybody wants to know. And if you enjoy talking about Disney theories, or just Disney history, anything Disney, you gotta make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I try to put out a video on something Disney every single week, and yeah, that's about it. So until next time, guys, I will see you real soon. Okay, bye everyone.